Do you think if you have to narrate any three principles that you have always lived in life, what they would be, and have you really literally applied them?
You'll always feel your previous team members were the best and this one is not up to the mark.
Do you think you ever faced a point where you thought that should you do anything other than practice also?
I saw an internship headed by an electrical engineer because who better to understand the electrical company than an electrical engineer?
Building up this audit firm, or you may say the firm where you are right now, was there a challenge to see that the teams are there all through, and you have anytime thought that the teams are not coming together? Was there any challenge on bringing together the team aligned with the goals?
So there's no entrepreneur. I count myself an entrepreneur, not as a chartered accountant practice. There's no entrepreneur. There's no human being not faced failure.
Good morning, all of you. This is Shachi Maheshwari again. We are back with legends in the professions who have been in their journey, from whom we can learn so much, who have faced the challenges in life in a way which is quite unique to them, but we can learn from each one of them, whether it is a functional expertise, whether it is the vocational or otherwise. Everywhere you need some skills, some traits to overcome certain challenges which you overcome in the professional journey. Let's also speak about one more thing that actually boils down to how are we handling the different corporate problems around? Are we really looking at the team struggling with it on its own, or we are really helping them being leaders there? We are also concentrating on those leaders who have really helped the teams to grow up in every level, to support them in every way so that they can be leaders and they can inspire new upcoming leaders. Today, we are going to talk about yet another stalwart in the profession, a chartered accountant who has been there for 4 decades of his life into the practice. He has been actually doing so many things. He's been into the line of audit, consulting, tax, corporate laws, fundraising, and which one more, virtual CFOs, which is, in latest thing, where people cannot hire a full-time employee or they want someone else to take care. Literally, that role is for starting to accounts, handling taxation, finalization, audits. It includes everything. So though it is one word, virtual CFO, but includes the whole function of what is a chartered accountant all about. Welcome, Mr. Rohit Kothari, Chartered Accountant Rohit Kothari. I think it's been so wonderful that every time we meet chartered accountants and we talk about that journey as to how determined they were first from the day one where they thought they would become a chartered accountant, and till today when they're already thinking this is a creative line, which, not all people think about. So we would like to say, was that a first time decision that I want to be a chartered accountant, or some influence that, had its say?
Thank you so much, Shachi. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I come from a family. My dad's an IITian from Kharagpur way back in the first or second batch, way back in 60s.
Wow.
So I was good at science, probably one of the toppers in science. So 2 people who didn't speak to me for a couple of years when I decided to do commerce in 10th grade were my dad and my maths teacher. What's your problem? Why do you want to go for commerce? Because commerce was not a preferred field in those days at all. Either you're a doctor, engineer, or you are a nobody. So, but my influence was my late maternal uncle, who was a chartered accountant in 1962 batch, and he was doing well and he was in Bombay. So somewhere in 7th grade or 8th grade, I decided to pursue chartered accountancy. Without really knowing what it entails for, except that I was good at numbers, I thought maths is a good background. And second, I didn't like biology, so there's a second reason to drop out. So it's just a very simple. People think that they plan for a particular profession, but typically I've seen where there's a professional business, you stumble to it accidentally onto it. And once you stumble onto it, then you have to enjoy it. So once I decided to pitch in, went whole out for it. And today people don't know. Nowadays also we had a concept called entrance exams. So we did entrance exams up to 12th, and we did C along with a BCom, which became more the fashion in the late 90s and early 2000s. So that's where we got into the journey, passed out with a clear decision, mark out, once you become a CA, that's it, period. So that's where I am today.
Correct. So having said that, At that point in time, it was your decision and you stick to it and you have cleared CA. But after taking it in the middle way, were you ever thinking that सचमुच ये line मुझे करनी है क्या? You know, was there any time a thought that you've taken or you might be you're not a right?
See, for me, and I have had people who have worked for me, who have been around me, any qualification is just a basic for a larger jump in life. He should not put you into a box that you're a chartered accountant, you should only do accounts, audit, and tax.
So
if you're an engineer, you have to do only engineering and nothing else. So what academic education gives you only a bedrock to start developing a rational thinking, logical reasoning powers, and that probably my science and maths background gave me well. So I have never felt, okay, could I have done something else? This is it. After that, you have to decide what you want to do. Like you can always decide what you want to do after that, Qualification should not constrain you.
Absolutely.
In any which way, that is a box you have to live in. Like you mentioned about virtual CFO in 86, when I was given an opportunity to what nowadays used to call it a retainership, because you start practice, you want something to keep pay for your fuel and your office expenses. In fact, I handle including union problems or production problems or machinery. So I really learned business on the ground, and that's where we enjoyed. So I made, probably it was, got ensured I got into experience. I didn't get into a box that I'm an accountant or an auditor or a tax guy.
Yeah, that is wonderful, because a lot of people, if they start their own practice, their own concern, they're not able to handle the entrepreneurship part of it, because they have to now not just do the execution part of the assignment, but they will also be responsible for recoveries. They'll be responsible for getting new business. So do you think you ever faced a point where you thought that should you do anything other than practice also? You never thought of becoming a CFO?
No, I was very clear when I was giving my exams. In fact, when I'd gone for last year or 2 years, I did articleship in Baroda. Third year, by conscious choice, I went to Bombay. The clear indication that to come back and be in business. For me, practice or business is same, though business is a dirty word or whichever way. End of the day, you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in business or in practice.
Correct.
So I was very clear. I told my boss in Bombay, the day my results come out, I'll pass and I'll go. He says, how do you know you'll pass out? Sir, I walk in with a confidence that I'll pass out. If I don't pass out, we'll think on that day. Today we'll think we are passing out. So that confidence has held me steadfast even today. People may call it arrogance. It's not arrogance. You have to be confident in whatever you're doing. You have to be prepared for the worst, but that does not mean you start thinking of the worst while you're preparing for what is the best.
So true and so
People
relevant.
For failure, you have to be prepared for success and be ready to absorb failure.
Correct.
So that's something she learned, and by God's grace, I passed out also. The day I passed, the same day I packed my bags, came back to Baroda.
Wow.
I didn't wait for a second, and then because once you stay in Bombay, it's a megapolis even then and even today. So I had to come back to Baroda. That was my call again. So some calls you can then live with it.
Why did you choose a place like second tier city when you were already from Mumbai? Any specific reason?
No, I was from Baroda. I went 1 year specifically to network and learn what's big city and what is the corporate world and the larger world. So went for big city exposure, which I tell all my youngs who work go and work at least a couple of years in no other city in the world. But that's the best place to learn, because you have all communities, all castes, all creeds, all genders, and there's only professional respect. There's no bias on that when you perform.
Right.
And I still today hold those relationships after how many years? 38 years. Still those relationships remain with me.
Wow. So if I may ask you that you've been into the journey building up this audit firm, or you may say the firm where you are right now, was there a challenge to see that the teams are there all through, and you have any time thought that, the teams are not coming together? Was there any challenge on bringing together the team aligned with the goals?
I think that's a perpetual problem. You'll always feel the previous generation was better, the next one is not up to the mark. You'll always feel your previous team members were the best and this one is not up to the mark. But as a leader or as a parent or as a mentor, the training is a continuous thing. You can't stop. And way back in maybe in 89, 90, when I got my first 4 or 5 people, I used to have training sessions even then. Proper training sessions, all allowed to speak. and those people went out, some others came. So that's a constant process. It is never going to stop. Till I hang my boots up or somebody shows me out of here, I think I'll still be talking training and all. In between, I was off for some time, and last 5 years, all article students are the only ones who interview when they join us. I don't interview chartered accountants. So always get the freshers to be interviewed and ensure that they have an open access to my room at all and any point of time. And that's what the leaders have to do, get the first rung to you.
Correct.
The top and bottom don't meet. That's the biggest thing. They need the second.
Very true. Do you think if you have to narrate any 3 principles that you have always lived in life, what they would be, and have you really literally applied them? Would like to listen on that.
I think what I do always, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, is better for permanent criticism for everybody, including my better half. Straightforward, blunt, to the point. And that holds me steadfast always. At least my heart is clean. I can sleep peacefully at any point of time, number 1. Number 2, never compromise on ethics. Yeah, you have to live in the system. Certain things I can't say that we don't have to do, sometimes bend the system, but step to your ethics and principles. There has to be a cutting point where you say no. And third, the art of saying no and still maintain relationships. And that's a big challenge in today's world. We don't know how to say no. We are scared to say no कि सामने वाले को कैसा लगेगा. But you have to know how to learn how to say that and how to still maintain a smile on your face and have relationships. And probably that's the reason when you asked about retention. Out of the partners, senior management team, we have got people who are with us for 3 decades. Couple of 3 guys in fact. For me, that is my gift from God. I have maybe 5-7 guys over 20 years, 25 guys and girls 20 years plus with us. So we've been able to maintain a core team, and we have people who have borne my tongue and everything. We've done articleship and come back and joined us and stayed with us. That is probably what I take as success. Maybe I don't think I didn't force them to come back.
For a chartered accountant firm, that's a very good success, because otherwise you see that lot of hopping is around between the firms. Maybe that is also one of the problems which a lot of firms face. Very good to hear. So I think the 3 things which you said were being straightforward, learning to say no, and knowing when to say no.
Learning to say no, being straightforward, sticking to your core ethics and principles,
Ethics.
You never hurt anybody. You have to ensure you're not hurting anybody commercially.
Yeah, staying there with the ethics and saying no where you cannot is something which every person needs to understand in this. Because I think audit as a profession teaches us where to say yes or no. That is one decision-making process which we always come through.
Like I tell my boys and girls, let me come, sorry to interrupt. See, we are doing a profession where we end up criticizing our clients.
Yeah.
And the biggest guys from MD to the office boy. And we expect them to respect us and pay us.
Yes.
So that is where I believe in consulting firms, audit practices, behavioral training is very important. Because how do you maintain a relationship with somebody you hammered him all day or her all day and then say in the evening, it's like, why are you not smiling at me?
Yeah.
And please pass my invoice.
Yeah, I know.
So that is
a tough one.
And that is, I think, what chartered accountant treats from internship or articleship. You're on the job dealing with people and coming back. So
if you have seen 4 decades, as in you have seen that what it was, a journey with papers, where it was no computers, to now where people cannot do anything without computers. Now AI has come. So many new things have come. Everything is on, has been off paper. Is there a major change that you see which has come into the processes of how we are handling audits or any other consulting that used to happen?
To say an old adage, the more things change, the more they remain the same, so it's still there. And coming back to computers, probably we were the first batch in our exams interviews that we are allowed to use calculators, and I was fortunate to have been practicing before that. Calculators was a big thing today. Today's world, Calculator is on your phone. You don't even buy a calculator. Those days we had to buy. I used my first computers in '87. And I did not use it. I used to go to IT guy and make him use it and how to use it. So we use computers technology and we have to change the time. The biggest challenge that is happening is technology disruption. And then that is something which all of us learn to adapt. There's no way to go around it, from a manual non-air conditioned car to an automatic air conditioned car to heating systems, whether it's automobiles at homes, we never had ACs, we had fans, even in business or in audits or in consulting. Tech is going to the big player. We cannot ignore tech or AI. And then what is fake and what is not fake, that also is the art where forensics or those are new skill sets. And the second thing which people say technology disruption will ensure there's employee disruption. No, you have to learn new skill sets. You have to adapt to the time. So probably we have gone through that process where we were in protection era when we started articleship in practice in 80s to liberalization to today, complete globalization where you don't know what the Red Sea can disturb you or what can happen in Bangladesh can disturb you, what can happen somewhere in Maldives can disturb you. So chartered accountants today or any professional matter has to be more alert than what is was in our cocoon days. In our cocoon days, we were still more protected.
Correct. Yeah, and with the other things, like there are so many alternative professions. During our times, the chartered accountants used to be only doing that and used to either practice or go for a job. Now you see so many of them, they are taking varied lines within chartered accountancy. Also after that, they are venturing into law, they are venturing into MBAs, they are, so the skill set which comes out after doing a multiple unique combination courses from that person is something which what he brings onto table. And these days, those skill sets are too unique to a person. Like if you ask for a position, it was very easy to say that, okay, if you're looking for a CFO position, only a CFO or only a chartered accountant will work. But now that is not the case. You would see a CFO even at different positions. Sometimes even they're elevated, and they are able to handle because they have had a MBA degree along with it. They are able to manage. What is the take that you have on this varied skill sets which people have, which is, the combination of different degrees along with CA as a core degree, or even sometimes you will not find people as chartered accountants being CFO.
See, the thing which has changed is getting the right word, it's become more function oriented than qualification oriented. Just to give a recent example, when I first attended an Institute Internal Auditors Conference way back in 2010 in Bombay, I saw an internal audit headed by an electrical engineer, because who better to understand the electrical company than an electrical engineer. And way back in the 80s also, when I saw science grad becoming a CA, they made better chartered accountants and I've said better chartered accountants because they understood businesses better. Because in nowadays, chartered accountant meant only accounts. So CFOs always keep balance sheet ban gaya, tally ho gaya, audit file ho gaya, return ho gaya. But today, it has gone beyond that. You need professionals who understand business. So chartered accountants have to evolve. I've been talking at various forums, been talking also that chartered accountants have to become entrepreneurs for that. They have to dirty their hands and go on the shop floor. My point was when we did audit way back in the 90s, I said, if you don't know what's happening in the shop floor, money is made or lost on the shop floor. That shop floor could be your IT engineer's room, it could be a production shop floor, it could be service for shop floor. And that is where chartered accountants have to come out of that they are no more accountants, they are business owners, they are business leaders. And that's what the MBAs gave them business leadership. Chartered accountants are now finally changing that they are business leaders, they are not finance or accounts guy. And CFO is a very larger pervasive word than it was in our generation. It is made CFO's glorified name for a senior accounts manager. The finance was handled by the family-owned promoters. They were not really, finance was a very limited commodity.
And so many global companies by then had not come. So it was more to see the middle level companies which were more working on the promoter-driven approach. Yes, true. One more thing which I have in my mind is you said that, success and failure. I think that one quote which you put was, you have to be ready for the success, but you have to absorb the failures. Has there been any time in your journey, professional journey, where you thought that you have absorbed that failure and that success has come very hard on that particular, I would say some challenge which you feel that it was really tough?
See, there's no entrepreneur. I call myself an entrepreneur, not as a chartered accountant practice. There's no entrepreneur, there's no human being not faced failure. If anybody is saying that's wrong, people who can still smile and succeed and be happy in life are people who absorb failure. There will be failure in all walks of life.
No,
Not,
definitely. But I mean, any one challenge which you think that you overcome it and this is the way you did.
no, you always have to keep on expanding our horizon. So sometimes we felt that we were too small, so we took multiple activities at some point of time before you develop the leadership vacuum. The leadership positions are filled in. So then you realize you're moving everywhere and something's not happening. So we added people. That's why I said we had added multiple chartered accountants, added strength on that. We had engineers, we had MBAs, we called all of them together. And we had to walk out of the situation where we took work and, it was becoming a pain to deliver, it taking a toll on our working style, personal lives. But we walked out of that. And because the ingrained thing was train and trust people.
Right.
And I think that will not end. Tomorrow I might find like today, after having used computers way back in 87, 88, today I'm wary of not getting to new AI or new technology. Why should I be using that? But I'm sure someday I'll be forced to have to do that if I have to survive. So it's something which happens. So there'll be a lot of opportunities will happen where you fail, you're facing a roadblock. Particularly like in investment banking, which I am largely into advisory and M&As and fundraise. Baroda becomes a block because you're not in Bombay. So you used to travel continuously. Then you develop relationships that you have to partner with people. You develop a network of people. You can't do it alone. That probably, if you say, that could be one reason where we stumbled a bit in spite of the best of relationships, in spite of the best of businesses that we're routing on. So then we learned that the only way is to grow is to partner, collaborate and network. And that probably my 85, 86 in Bombay helped me, where I had a circle of trust, friends over the years we maintained. With or without work, we kept on meeting. And I think that's very important. One more thing the today's generation learn. You don't look at a relationship for an outcome or for a result. Please keep maintaining your network and relationships, even if you enjoy each other for a cup of tea, not necessarily for work. And actually that helped me work out whatever we had a stumble in between, that we are not growing our consulting practice. I think they're coming back on that.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite a bit, in this, because these days, every relationship, people start thinking that even if they're networking, they should get something out of it. And it doesn't happen that way. You have to nurture the relationships. You have to get to know to people. And you should be the go-to name if people have heard about something is required. And that is how, the business would come. But it would be an incidental thing. It cannot be with the thought that you will meet people only for the business. That's absolutely right. I completely resonate with that.
I'll add to that, if you permit. Transactional relationship or transactional networking is a very short-term success. It doesn't work long-term.
Very true. Very true. So I think you started with a single person, you yourself, and you have grown to a firm which is 200 plus people now. So what is now, in your kitty as an aspiration, that what next? What is that one area you think you have unexplored and you want to venture into, or you want to bigger your team, or you want to grow taller, globalize? Is there any aspiration which you think is still there in your mind?
I have an excellent team of leaders. I want them to get independent of me and perform independent of me. That's my aspiration. Then I can go and play golf peacefully.
Okay.
which it's not permitted today. So I'd like to see that I'm more I am hands off, and I want to be where they actually have their own image and reputation in the market, where they pull in the work and not me pulling in the work. That is my aspiration, where the work gets pulled in by my next generation, next team.
So I would say that your delegation has been very strong as your skill. Only then a person can sit back and say that now people can handle and I can play golf.
It has to happen the next couple of years. What are the missing bits and pieces have to fall in place? That's my aspiration.
So do you think delegation is a must? Do you think, delegation helps to develop leaderships?
Without delegation, you can't have leadership. It's a parent-child relationship. We're sitting on my child's head all his or her life. That kid is never going to develop. You have to dedicate and allow them to make mistakes. Be there to support them to stand up. But if they repeat the mistake, then you have to take them. But then you have to constantly train them and motivate them. It has to. Dedication is essential. It can't help without that. It's a given.
What is that one behavior in teams which you over and over saw and which you think that, this is one thing which every leader has to solve?
Giving them respect for what they're doing. It's something which is very important. And like I always tell my leadership team in my office, failure of your team is yours. Success is your team members. If you can learn that, you have to own responsible failure. And then if you want to rebuke your leader and all, then go back to a small room, talk to them one-on-one. This is what I did wrong. Publicly, I've taken ownership of your failure. But please ensure next time do this right. I trust you and I respect you. Show faith in that person. Don't browbeat that person into humiliation that he or she can never come up.
What is your highest point in your complete professional journey? What was the point that you thought, wow, I'm so proud of this, which I did today? Was there any moment like that?
No, I'm proud every day and I'll be proud.
I'm sure. But anything which stands out, anything which is like comes top to the mind?
No, I think every day I enjoyed, and every day is a matter of pride, and I'm sure that's the way I live. Live for the day, period.
That's not juicy enough. I mean, I'm sure you will have at least one to share with us.
What do you ask me to share that? It's just large transactions on merger acquisition, you can get your kick out of it. Do some large audits, you get a kick out of it. Your partners handle large tax matters and come out to handle six. So I would not say there's one case which says I will not pin down my 40 years life to one incident or two incidents. And it's been,
so does it happen with all the people who are into this, that their biggest high comes out of their victories?
I think sustainability is more important than individual victories. We are not into a sport. Even if you've seen a sport, you look at a person to sustainably win, You can't win one Grand Slam and call be a GOAT. You have to have a constant Grand Slam and constant victories. And you see today with how the things have changed, even in tennis or in sports, women are becoming mothers and coming back to play and transcend. So they can't live on their past laurels. So I always believe, so that past laurel is something you enjoy for the day, evening, and forget it and move on to what you want to do next. Neither can you sit on your laurels and enjoy, neither can you crib on your failures and mope. I think every day is a journey and every day is a victory. I don't have a standout event which I can. The only standout event on the lighter side is,
I would say then you had a comparatively very, very enriching journey where you were, finding your happiness and absorbing it there itself. And every day, if you're finding something to be happy over the 4 decades, that's been a wonderful journey.
So when I started practice, I was an outlier. We started internal audit, like I said, fundraise and virtual CFO in 80s. It was not spoken about in Baroda at least. And from 88, 89, I have not been in traditional tax practice at all. So moved out from that, and I've been talking to the institute from those days that we should look at chartered accountants being audit and tax. And today I find that change happening. That gives me satisfaction. Finally, the profession realizing that they are beyond accounts, audit and tax.
Yeah, very true.
So
a lot of consulting has come into picture as well. Yeah.
It was not there.
And that too of different kinds. It's like environmental se leke, so many things have come up, which has been part of the consulting these days. Very true. You had also been a founder president for Audit Club, which was, established for the first time in a place like Baroda. Would you tell, what was that one thought for establishing that club? I mean, audit and club going together, first of all, that itself is something which you don't see, because audit is a very serious subject and club is something which is very casual. Calling it an audit club itself is a very interesting, phrase.
So let me, the club was not my decision. That's a charter of the Institute of Reuters, which calls a subset below the chapter is called a club.
Oh, okay.
Because it is supposed to be, a club is formed in a small center. We have a small set of individuals who get together to, propagate the profession. And we are the few ones, like I said, in 86, I started with intro practice in Baroda. And then I had been reading about the Institute of Intro from the early 90s. And then I got involved in, I used to read the journals and what was happening globally in internal audit and risk, what is now today called risk practice. It was that time traditional for internal audit practice. So sometime in 2010, I went and attended one of the conferences in Bombay. And like I said, a major electrical engineer was talking about internal audit. I talked about cost accountants. It was a more multifaceted forum than only a pure chartered accountant forum, So if you want a good mix of ideas, I said, why don't we get professionals together? So when we formed, then they gave us, why do you want to open something in Baroda? I said, we'll open a Vadodara Audit Club. The club is something which is part of the charter of the Institute of Reuters for the next level organization. Good group of people, and I think we were the few ones, and I'm proud of that as a group that we got in. One of my clients who attended inauguration, he said, auditors don't help us. I said, you come and sit on the committee. Come on, sit there at the table. He was a master of social work, came on the committee. We got a IT professional come on the committee. So we had a good mix, eclectic mix of professionals to form the audit club. It was not only from the accounting and tax profession.
Wow, interesting.
So we were discussing both sides, industry experience, different professional experience. And we had a good environment getting 7-8 years. And I think it's time that we relaunch it back in Baroda.
Wow. Wonderful. It was very nice to talk to you, Mr. Rohit. And I would like to say, what is your one message to, the chartered accountants or the professionals or same fraternity, men, women? What is that one thing, or if you have more than one, that you would like to share as a message?
Keep learning, keep reading. You lost the art of reading. Do patient reading. No, don't look solution-minded reading that you're looking for an outcome or a solution. Please keep reading and absorbing non-work related areas. Expand your horizons. The world is going to change again in the next 10 years. It will not remain where it is today. 2, please learn to absorb failures. Don't get disappointed by failures. Learn from them and don't repeat the same mistakes. That's all you have to learn. We'll all keep on making mistakes. So don't get unnerved by that. 3rd, don't get overexcited by success. Just take it as a part and parcel of your life and look to the next challenge.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much, Rohitji. I mean, it was wonderful to see that a chartered accountant with 4 decades of experience being so positive, so enthusiastic about the journey, saying that every day was a great day being in this, and there was never a moment of monotony. There was always excitement. This is so nice, enriching to know that, we actually can find all our happiness and success in our professions just by keeping on our learning drive. Thank you for being on this talk show, and thank you for sharing your experiences and your insights on the professional journey and your complete skill sets.
Honored to be there, and thank you so much for considering.
Thank you.